Mitt Romney wasted no time distancing himself from the president, but that wasn't always his plan. In an op-ed in the Washington Post last week, the Utah Republican issued a sharp rebuke of the administration, saying President Trump hadn't, quote, risen to the mantle of the office. And this happened before he was even sworn into Congress. McKay Coppins, writing for The Atlantic, says Senator Romney never wanted this kind of confrontation to define his term in office. And McKay joins me now from Washington. McKay, really interesting to read your piece. And I want to share with our viewers some of your reporting. You say that you, quote, heard repeatedly that Romney was determined not to define himself with his roller coaster-like relationship with Trump. So the question is, McKay, what was he hoping for?
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, I've been reporting on this prospective Senate bid as early as April of 2017. And what I heard throughout the time Mitt Romney was running for Senate is that his initial plan was to kind of quietly arrive in Washington and try to remain on at least, you know, somewhat good terms with the White House. He obviously has a rocky past with the president, but his hope was to be able to maintain at least cordial relations with the White House and with the president so as to find opportunities to work together on issues where they agreed. A few things changed that, most notably the departure of Jim Mattis as Secretary of Defense. That kind of shook loose, what I'm told, at least according to people close to Romney, that kind of shook loose his last remaining confidence in this White House and this administration, and prompted him to kind of assert a level of independence as he arrived in Washington and kind of announce his intentions. You know, he makes clear in the op-ed that he's not planning to, you know, pick fights with the president every single day over every tweet that he disagrees with, and nor is he going to vote against Republican priorities that he happens to agree with. But he does want to make clear that he is not kind of on Team Trump, so to speak, and he's going to feel free to object to the president and oppose the president whenever he feels it's responsible and important to do so.
So is that why in your piece you talk about how Romney's actions could lead to a, quote, non-ideal scenario for the president?
Well, right. I mean, look, this is a president who, more than probably anyone who's been in this Oval Office, takes politics very personally, and he really cares about loyalty. He has made known that for Republican lawmakers who have opposed him in the past to kind of get in his good graces, they have to very publicly, you know, kiss the ring. And Mitt Romney has shown that he's not likely to do that, at least not in the near term, and that can cause all kinds of problems for Donald Trump. I mean, look, there's a number of policy issues that Mitt Romney simply just doesn't agree with Trump on. Trade is one notable one. Foreign policy is another. The Mueller investigation is something that Mitt Romney, right after he was elected, kind of made a point of speaking out on and saying it's imperative that the Mueller investigation be allowed to proceed unimpeded, and that we need to take that seriously. And that, of course, stands in stark contrast with the party line and with certainly the White House's line. And these are all issues where we could see a kind of confrontation between this senator from Utah who has a pretty safe seat and the president who needs all the Republican votes he can get.
So a recent poll by the Associated Press found 64% of Utah voters would like to see Romney confront the president. So as you point out, though, Romney seems to be pretty safe. Is he really risking anything by speaking out now at the beginning of his term?
You know, he's not really risking anything politically back home, as you note. I mean, Utah is a pretty idiosyncratic red state. It's very conservative, but, you know, Donald Trump won it with less than 50% of the vote in 2016. And as you noted there in that poll, Romney's constituents are pretty clearly wanting him to speak out about the president and kind of stand apart from him. Where I think that he risks something, Senator Romney, is in what kind of role he plays here in Washington. You know, Romney, of course, had the Republican nomination for the presidency in 2012. He's generally seen as a more senior figure than the average junior senator from a state like Utah. And I think a lot of Republicans had been looking to him for leadership and for kind of somebody who was going to take the lead on certain issues. I think that kind of declaring his independence from the White House so early on does put him in a position where, you know, the White House isn't going to be looking to let him lead on issues, and it makes for a more tumultuous relationship, and that's where I think we're going to have to keep an eye on is how the president and how this White House tries to sideline Romney going forward.
So we only have about a minute left, but I want to read one more quote from your piece. You write, quote, "To some extent, everyone in Washington eventually gets sucked into the Trump vortex." So, McKay, how has this administration changed the way lawmakers do their jobs?
Right. Well, like I said before, this is a president who really demands fealty and loyalty from lawmakers. And even those who oppose him really end up kind of being defined by where they stand on Donald Trump and on the various provocations and policy positions that he takes. Mitt Romney, for a long time, tried to resist that reality. He thought that he could kind of go about Senate business without letting President Trump define him. But what I'm told is he's kind of come to terms with the reality that as long as Trump is president, he's not going to be able to avoid questions about him, and his relationship with Trump is to some extent going to be the defining aspect of his time here in the Senate, and that's a part of why he wrote this op-ed right as he arrived here in Washington.
I sense many cameras will be chasing Senator Romney through the halls of Congress. All right, McKay Coppins. McKay, thanks very much.
Thank you.